What's up, y'all? I'm back. Of course, I'm C, Cook&TalkTV, back with another little small chat with you guys. Today, as usual, as with the last chat, I'll be mainly talking to the ladies, but guys, please do watch. May have a word for you guys as well. But today, I did want to talk about relationship issues. I know we've been talking about marriage. Usually, when I came on, I think the last time I talked about single mothers, but today I wanted to hit on relationship issues. Um, do we all have them in relationships? Of course we do. Regardless of the type of relationship it is, whether it's a friendship, whether it's family relations, whether it's a romantic relationship, we all have issues, regardless of what type of relationship it is. Now, me personally, when I have relationship issues, I'm just gonna say relationship issues, um, how do I respond? How do I respond to relationship issues? Relationships within my marriage. And like I said, this is not, you can be married or just be in a situationship. But it was my case, of course, I'm married. So when I start to have relationship issues within my marriage, um, the first thing I want to go to is, first thing is what in the world, because who wants to have issues anyway? Nobody wants to deal with that. But guess what? That's life, and we have to deal with that, and that's cool. We do what we have to do. But the first thing I think about, well, the first thing we go to is the main thing with our with my relationship is I think there's a lot of breakdown in communication when we go to start to address the issue. We all know that a lot of times when you get upset and angry, you're not really listening to that other person anyway. You just want to prove your point and you want to get on with the conversation. And you want basically the other person to say, yeah, they're wrong or apologize or at least side with something that you said. That's what, it's human nature to want to prove our point and to be right. Everybody wants to be right. Nobody wants to be wrong. But that's the issue that we run into in relationships. And when we having those communication breakdown due to whatever the issue may be, we want to prove who's right. We all want to be right. Even the person that's wrong want to be right. And we can't all be right. So we can't argue to prove who's right. We have to learn how to communicate in a way where, for one, that it's positive, for two, that we're both listening to what each other's needs are, and then working towards a resolve is what we should be doing. But most times, being human, we go there. You end up getting hot and heated, and the conversation goes nowhere. So what do you do when that happens? Well, sometimes you don't always do what's right. Like I said with me, you might, first thing you might want to do, when you start to have these conversations and you see it's not going anywhere, you might want to flip the table, so to speak, or literally, you might want to really flip a table. But we know we shouldn't do that. We got to figure it out, ladies. I mean, we have we have some tough situations, whether it be cheating, whether it be some type of addiction going on in the relationship, just whatever. I mean, disagreements when it comes to the children, just whatever it may be. We can tend to take it to a different level to where it shouldn't even have never gotten to that level. And it's just based on various things. We deal with a lot of things in relationship. We deal with lies, deceit, like I said, cheating, dishonesty. I mean, all those things, they come into play at some point in your relationship. And I know, some of those things that I have dealt with in my relationships. And like I said, I'm very open, a very open book with you guys. I want to be very transparent. I have dealt with, a lot of lying and dishonesty. And when I deal with that, I immediately get angry and I get defensive because it's like, okay, this is a perpetual problem in our relationship, and it continues to happen over and over. And so my immediate response is to get angry because I feel like I've tried every angle to come at you, but we're still dealing with the same thing. So that's just very frustrating for me, and so it just like I said, it makes for that breakdown in communication that typically occurs. It makes for that, okay, I'm going for days without speaking to you. Is that a good thing? No, it's not a good thing. You should never go days without talking to your spouse or your significant other, because that just causes further breakdown in the relationship. But does it happen? Sure, it happens. I try not to allow that to happen. I try to not let days go by without talking or whatever, which I never do. Typically, I never do that. But sometimes you may need that space, and if you need that time and that space, let that be known to that partner. Don't just take that time without telling that person that's what you're doing, because that makes for further disagreement. So do tell that person, you know what? Today I just can't do it with you. We'll do whatever we need to do for the kids or whatever, but I just can't have conversation with you today. And you may go a day without really saying too much about whatever that situation was that you guys were arguing about in the first place. And that's cool. Sometimes we just need time to ourselves. Take that time, do what you need to do. I think that I'm learning that sometimes you can't fix it. You and your partner can't fix it. I don't care how many times you have been around the block with that conversation. You cannot fix it. That's why you're still having that conversation, because you two cannot fix it. You need to get someone else involved, whether it be a mediator, a pastor, a therapist, whomever you need to get involved. You need to get someone else involved. Otherwise, you're going to continue to have that same issue. You're going to continue to go through that same cycle, circle, whatever you want to call it. You're going to be there, because obviously somebody is not willing to change. Nobody's compromising, and somebody's not willing to change, and you're going to stay stuck in that same rut for a while. And I know, because I have been in situations where I've been in, went through the same issue over and over again, got the same result because nothing changed. And do be know for sure that you can't get a different result doing the same thing. You definitely have to make a change in order for change to occur. And I think we all know that. But I think we get caught up to thinking that, oh, you know what? He's going to do the right thing this time, so I'm going to give him another chance. But guess what? Soon as things get back to normal, that person goes back to doing the same thing they've been doing, because they never had any intentions on changing anyway. They were just trying to appease you in the moment so they don't have to hear your mouth anymore. Because that's what I hear a lot from men. They say, I don't want to hear your mouth no more. And so guess what they do? They say whatever they think you want to hear just to appease you in that moment. And guess what, ladies? That don't work for nobody. We're still in the same place. We ain't went nowhere. We still gonna have the same conversation probably a month from now, if not days from now, because that person is not willing to change. They just trying to appease you in that moment. So what do? So we gotta learn how to communicate. We gotta learn the love language of our significant other. We gotta learn, if it's acts of service, then that's what we need to try to work on. If your spouse is more of a touch type of person, then we need to work on that. That more affection. If that person needs more, affirmation, then we need to work on that. So whatever it might be, whatever love languages your significant other may speak, we need to learn how to tap into that. I know for myself, we took the test, and one of my things was acts of service, and I think the other one may have been quality time. And as I've gotten older, I've done this test in the past, and mine was a little different from what it is now, but that is what mine is now. Like I said, quality time and acts of service. But I also almost tied with those words of affirmation, because I think they're both important for the man and the woman to be affirmed in a relationship and be secure in who they are. Now, one thing I will say, ladies, and I'm speaking, of course, I'm speaking from a woman perspective, so it may sound like I'm more so leaning towards the women, fellas, versus versus you all, but versus the fellas. But ladies, just know we need to learn those language, and we need to learn to speak the language of our spouse. And I will say that, men are very ego-driven. They're very ego-driven, and they're very prideful. And if they don't feel wanted or needed in the relationship, they gonna act up, cut out, do whatever, because that's just how they was raised. They was raised that, they gotta feel a certain way, they gotta be a certain way, they gotta act a certain way to be deemed as a man. And particularly in a relationship with with a female, of course, whatever you choose, everybody wants to feel wanted. And men, for certain, they want to feel wanted in relationship. So we have to be careful with our words when we are communicating with them, or whether we get in an argument or what the case may be. We have to be careful with our words, because for them, it can be very damaging. Don't get me wrong, words can be damaging to anybody. But for some reason, men take things a little bit deeper than women when it comes to certain things that we say to them. So we got to be careful as to, what we say to them. And like I said, vice versa. We got to be careful with what we say to each other. Conflict, nobody wants to deal with conflict, but conflict is actually healthy in any relationship, because how else are you going to learn if you don't have some source of conflict? So we know that conflict is healthy, but it's all about how we respond to that conflict and what we take from that conflict. Because like I said, we can mess the situation up. I mean, men and women, we can mess a situation up. In a marriage, they say the woman is supposed to submit to their husband. That's what it says in the Bible. That's what it says we should be doing. Now, for me, I believe in that. There's a thing called mutual submission. And when I say mutual submission, I mean I'm gonna encourage you, and mentally, physically, socially, work-wise, career-wise, whatever it is, I'm gonna give you that same type of encouragement and support as I expect you to give me. So that's when I say mutual submission. That's what I'm speaking on. I'm just as concerned with your well-being and your growth in this world as I am with myself. So that's when I say mutual. I know some people, they say, I ain't submitting to nobody. Some women, I don't know what that Bible's talking about, because I ain't submitting to nobody. Well, ladies, we do have a role to play. The man and the woman have a role to play. And the man's supposed to be the leader. Now, I will say that some men and some women, they don't know who they are. And if they don't know who they are, how in the world can they lead someone else? Like, you have to be self-aware. Self-actualization is very important, and I'm also learning this as well, which I've known this, but just some men are just not. They don't have that confidence in themselves. They don't have that self-actualization, self-realization, self-awareness. They just don't have it. They don't know who they are, and it may be based on some things they went through the past, or even their present. That have caused them to be that way. But we definitely need to know and seek out who we are in relationships, because we are no good for nobody if we don't even know who we are. And like I said, in the situation of a marriage, a man cannot lead a wife and a family if he doesn't know who he is, and in particular if he doesn't know who he is in God. But if he doesn't know who he is, he cannot lead a family. So I just wanted to say that. I just wanted to get on here and just, like again, I said, I just want to get on here and chat. But men and women, let's love each other. Men, let's love and honor, respect, all those trust, all that good stuff that goes into a relationship. Let's try to give that to one another, both men and women. Let's try to do that for one another. Communicate. Learn how to positively communicate. And like I said, I'm learning this every day. I'm learning how to positively communicate. I mean, because like I said, I'll blow up in a minute, I'm hot and angry, particularly if I'm hot and angry over something that we've been discussing over and over again. I blow up. I have a tendency to blow it up, because it's just not going anywhere, and it's frustrating when it's not going anywhere. And is it fair to anybody? No, it's not fair to anybody in that situation. But that should just have a tendency of to happen. Learn your partner's love language. Once we know each other better and we know, what they respond better to, then let's try to work on doing that. And listen to each other. Listen, respect each other's differences on every level, and just love. I mean, the last thing, is to just love one another. Love the way you would want, treat each other the way you would want to be treated. We are a reflection of each other when we're out in public, regardless of where we at, whether we're in public, we're online, social media, wherever we are. If you think your spouse would have, or your spouse or significant other would have a issue with liking a post or posting something that, posting some statement or something that, if you think your spouse would have a problem with that, something that you've said or posted, then you probably shouldn't post that, or you probably shouldn't like that picture. So let's just try to be considerate of one another. And let's just love. Let's be considerate. Let's be respectful. Let's love one another, and let's get through those tough times in our relationships. Let's get through those relationship issues, because they're definitely gonna come. You know, we're gonna have trials and tribulations. That's the only way we can grow and learn. So they're definitely gonna come. So hang in there, sis. Until the next time, Cook and Talk TV. I'll be back to talk to you guys another time. Holla at me.